Here's my story. My desire was always to be rich and famous. At least that's what I told my mother. And I told her I was going to be a famous actress. And she said to me, honey, get a real job. Anybody can act. And so I changed my major in college to mass communications, radio, TV, and film. I started my career as a radio news anchor in Detroit, Michigan. I was fortunate enough to get to New York City, which was my dream, and to be a news anchor there. I started with NBC Radio Network. I moved from radio to television. I went to the now Fox 5 and then to WABC News. That was all in New York. And then I came here to Washington, D.C. My story took a turn in 1986. I was in the midst of contract negotiations with WJLA-TV in Washington, D.C., when my news director said, we're not going to be renewing your contract. I have to tell you, I was absolutely shocked because I was number one in my time slot in ratings. I was doing very well, had great recognition in the community, but I lost my job. Now, the story gets a little interesting here because at that time, I was married to a Haitian orthopedic surgeon in New York. He woke up one day and decided he wanted to be president of Haiti. My then husband took off for Haiti, left me with 3 children, a housekeeper, and 2 peacocks, and no money. And so when the news director told me they weren't renewing my contract, honestly, folks, I was just devastated. My question was, how am I going to take care of my children? How am I going to pay my bills, which were many? In fact, I'd racked up about $100,000 worth of debt. And at that time, I have to tell you, I had no hope. But I had to keep going because I had my children to think of. And then one day, all of the things that I remember learning as a little girl going to church kind of came back to me. And you have to understand, I was the kind of woman that I made it happen. I always thought I was in control. Well, when I reached this point, I found I wasn't controlling anything. But then I decided to look up and to look from a spiritual perspective. And for me, that meant having a relationship, not a religion. And I stress that. You know, I've been through the different denominations in religion, but what it came down to was a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, if anyone had told me I would be talking about Jesus Christ, I would have told them, I don't think so, because that was not in my portfolio. But I was at the end of myself, and I tried everything else, and nothing else was working. And so I said, well, tried everything else. Why not try Jesus? Smartest decision I ever made. It was a turning point. I still had $100,000 worth of debt. I still had no job. I still had 3 children to take care of. But what I found was a peace that really surpassed anything that I could ever understand. And even in the midst of all of that hardship, I had an internal joy. And then I had the knowledge, the knowing that whatever my circumstances were, that He was going to help me, that He was going to walk alongside me. And He did, and He has. It has been 35 years, I can hardly believe I'm saying that I have been walking with the Lord Jesus Christ. And all I had to do, it's very simple, was say, Lord Jesus, come into my heart. Forgive me of everything that I've ever done that doesn't line up with the person that you are. I've been through bone cancer, recently had brain surgery. But here I am to tell you that in all of that, I've had peace. So I just say to you today, wherever you are in your life, Whether you're going through sickness, you're going through financial problems, relationship problems, there is nothing too big and too hard for God to help you with. After all, He created you. So today might be the day that will be the rest of your life if you just ask Him to come into your heart. I'm Doris McMillon, and that's my story.